Okay, so today's video is going to be a little more serious than normal. I mean, the last serious video I kind of made was during the whole voice actress situation for Overwatch, where somebody lost her life because she got murdered by this crazy psychopath, and I just gave my opinion on how bad it was and how bad I feel. And that criminal that has murdered the voice actress for Overwatch is facing some serious criminal charges, and I'll be honest, I still feel bad for her to this day. But the topic of today's video is a little bit more serious because this is actually a Travis Scott concert that actually happened at the start around the start of November this month. This actually happened I believe last week on I think November 5th, and there was actually some people that lost their lives during a what you would call it. I don't want to say a mosh pit, but there was like a giant stampede of people happening. I think at least over 50,000 people attended this Travis Scott concert, and apparently there was a lot of problems going on. Now, I was talking with one of my friends when I was playing video games with them the other day. I think it was actually 2 days ago that my friend brought up that topic about how the Travis Scott situation unfolded. So my friend actually inspired me to actually make this video, and I'm actually really shocked at the result I actually found during my research on it. So I do have an article for you guys, but before I do want to let you guys know, like, I'm not joking when I say this. Like, there was actually paramedics trying to drive a vehicle through the crowd. Well, not like crazy, see, like ramming people, but they were trying to like warn people to get out of the way, but people just did not listen. They were too focused onto the concert, and they were just too focused on everything else. So let me just show you guys a quick picture of what I'm trying to talk about. Yeah, I'm not even sure how to describe that. All I can really say is that is really a tough spot for the paramedic people and the ambulance people to be in. Like, how can people not notice this? Like, how the heck are people not aware of this? Like, if you see like a vehicle like this at all, whether you're driving, whether you're at a concert, whether you're at a comic book store, whatever you're at a grocery store, whatever, whenever you see an ambulance vehicle, you gotta always be aware, like, oh shoot, maybe there's a serious medical emergency and maybe we should let other people know. But instead, what happened was people ignored it, and people just continue listening to the rock concert as well. And apparently, from what I've been reading online, apparently Travis Scott was high on drugs, so apparently he didn't really notice the whole thing, which I'll get into that whole thing later in the video in a few minutes or so. But anyway, it's just like this is just awful. Like, if you see a medical vehicle like a paramedic or like an ambulance, like, you gotta clear the way for people. Even if you're in the middle of a concert, like, you just gotta let other people know. And it's just there's some people that lost their lives in this. So I'm gonna pull up the article and read it for you guys so you at least have a better idea of what I'm trying to talk about. At least 8 people are dead after the crowd panics at a Travis Scott concert. The rapper Astroworld, set in Houston, ended with at least 8 people dead and dozens of hospitalized, with con- concert growers, I don't know how to pronounce that word, among the 50,000 people that attended that rushed down towards the stage. Okay, so at least 50,000 people. Now, I think I already said this already, but that is a lot of people to be at a concert. Like, that is like more than you would see in like a football field. Well, that was probably more stadiums larger than that can fill more than 50,000. I could be wrong about that, but 50,000 people, that is a lot of people. And you got to remember, we are still dealing with the midst of a pandemic. So, do you think that's really a good idea to go to a concert during the midst of a pandemic? No, of course not. Well, at least that's just my opinion. I don't really think it's a great idea to go to a concert that's in the middle of a pandemic. I really don't. Because, again, there's still going to be a lot of people that are going to get sick over this, and people that are going to get COVID 19 or something like that. And look, I understand, like, we've been trying to quarantine for a whole year now, and it's about to be 2 years in 2022. depending on how you look at it, but there's a lot of people that attended this concert, and I understand you want to have fun. I really do. I'm glad that people went to the concert, and I'm glad that people are having fun, but I'm also worried that the precautions and the consequences that happened like people are still not aware about it. And yeah, there are some people that knew about this and they were trying to let other people know, but a lot of people just ignored it and were continuing with the concert. Like this is just confusing and baffling to me. Like I think that anybody with a brain at this point can see like, huh, okay, so if there's a ambulance here and there are some people trying to let me know that there's actually really a medical emergency, I should probably do the same thing, right? And instead, what happens was there was a giant crowd stampede that occurred, and there were multiple people, at least 8, that were murdered during this. So I'm going to pull the article back up for you guys so you can at least get more information. At least 8 people are dead and many more injured after a crowd surge during the Travis Scott Friday night performance at Houston's Astral World Music Festival, excuse me. Around 9:30 p.m. local time during the 30-year-old rapper's set at an NRG Park Stadium, which estimated around 50,000 people that attended, the audience rushed forward, triggering a panic. The Associated Press reported that of the 17 people that were taken to local hospitals, 11 were in cardiac. I think I said that wrong. A cardiac arrest after on site medical staff became overwhelmed ahead of treating around 300 individuals, according to authorities. Per city mayor Sylvester Herder, I think is how you say it, at the end of the news conference Saturday evening, the youngest of those who died was 14, another was 16 years old, 2 were 21 years old, another 2 were 23, and one was 27 years old, and a final person of the unknown age as he could not be immediately identified. Jesus Christ. Like, what do I even say here? Like, this has got to be a disaster for Travis Scott's concert, and this cannot be a good thing for his reputation. You know, I mean, again, I'm glad people are having fun at a concert, but when it comes to like actually when people are dead seriously hurt, like you gotta realize and you gotta make room for the paramedics so they can actually do their job. And because this concert was so overwhelmed with the crowd surge, like rushing down like a stampede of rhinos, 8 people were murdered, and these were young people at the time too. And it's just awful because now the families have to deal with this loss, all because of a giant stampede of people decided to act like a bunch of assholes and decided to be a stampede of rhinos and just rush them down without even being aware of their surroundings. Like they didn't like what do I even say? I'm just baffled at this point. Like how can you not see that there are people around you? How can you not see the consequences of your actions here? Like this is just unacceptable. Like now not only will those people who caused the crowd surge have a guilty conscience, but they also murdered some young children during the stampede because now there's going to be a lot of law enforcement involved, which is not cool. And this is just not acceptable because now the parents have to deal with this loss and they have to put up with this. Like this is just not acceptable for anyone. Like how can you morally accept yourself like this? Like I feel bad that the parents of these people lost those young ones because they were just imagine this. If you were at a standard concert just with your friends or with your buddies or your loved ones and all of a sudden a crowd surge just came out of nowhere running down like a stampede of animals and then you or your friends or your loved ones just got killed in this stampede of people that were caused by a crowd surge for no reason, and now all of a sudden it's coming to haunt you for the rest of your life, and you're knowing like, oh shoot, I don't know why this happened. Like This going to this concert was the biggest mistake of my life. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're gonna give. Because now what has happened was that crowd surge has now caused a lot of heartbreak for the families that lost their loved ones. And like I said already, and I feel bad that this happened, but at the same time, there needs to be some serious consequences for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be some kind of punishment involved here. So, I'm going to pull up the article again for you guys so we can actually get a little bit more into this. Officials stressed that the reason for the surge during the Travis Scott set remained unclear as of Saturday morning, though the attendants have suspicious speculation on what caused it. Freelance photographer Amy Harris was in the crowd as she covered the event for the Associated Press and told the outlet that she felt an aggressive atmosphere throughout the day, which Con- Undergross, I don't know how to say that properly, reportedly pushed each other, rushing the stage and crossing barricades to VIP areas. And she said, and I quote, "It was definitely the most chaotic festival environment I have ever been in," she said. "I felt uneasy all day." Okay, this is the part where I call bullshit because I think we clearly know what happened here. It's not really unclear. I think it's actually pretty clear in my opinion because what happened was there was a giant stampede of people and it was a surge. Like there was a bunch of people rushing the stage and amidst panic in terms of like, oh my god, we gotta rush the stage. Let's do this. Let's cause a stampede. I think somebody started some kind of riot, I believe is what happened here, and that's what caused the midst of panic. So that's just what I'm assuming, just to be safe. Now I could be wrong, but all I know is that that's the only conclusion I can see here. I mean, somebody must have wanted to start a riot, and that's what kind of started the midst of the panic here for the crowd surge, and that's probably what caused people's lives to go here. Like, again, this is just unacceptable. And how can you remotely accept yourself like this if you were a part of that surge? Like, that is just it's just baffling again. Like I don't even know what to say here besides it's just baffling. Like this is just unfair to those people because again, not only is it unfair to the paramedics because the crowd surge made their jobs a lot more difficult because they couldn't get to the people in time. Even with the blaring lights on their ambulance trying to push through the crowd, they couldn't get there because they were overwhelmed. But now, because of that, the crowd has caused the paramedics to lose people. Like they lost their lives. Well, the paramedics didn't lose their lives, but the people they were trying to get to couldn't. And that's what happened. The paramedics couldn't get to the people in time because of the crowd surge. And those people that were trampled lost their lives. And again, I feel bad that this happened. And if I was a part of this concert, I would be devastated even more for those people. And I'd probably be mortified if I was there. And I'm glad I did not attend to this kind of concert. And, for the midst of a pandemic, you think that we would get a little bit more of an idea of how to be extra safe in terms of social distancing and keeping us safe from COVID or trampling other people. You think that we would get the idea of this and to think that Travis Scott would actually try to put more effort into this? No, of course not, because apparently from what people are saying online was he was stoned out of his mind or he was high on drugs and he didn't really realize it. So maybe I'm wrong and he wasn't too high on drugs, but maybe I'm wrong and he wasn't aware and he just didn't see it, but from what I'm understanding, I think he could be part fault here cuz I mean, he made the concert and he didn't really do anything to help those people. Well, he wasn't really paying attention, which I honestly think is just not true. I mean, if you're at a concert, you should be able to at least pay attention to at least the people in the crowd. I mean, if you're stoned out of your mind on drugs, that could be a part of a reason of why things are going south. And he did actually tweet about this later on today. Or not today, excuse me. He did tweet about this later in the week. I apologize for that. Let me just pull it up for you guys real quick. My prayers go out to the families and all those impacted by what happened at the Astro Worlds Festival. Houston PD has my total support as they continue to look into the tragic loss of life. I am committed to working together with the Houston community to heal and support the families in need. Thank you to Houston PD Fire Department and NRG Park for their immediate response and support. Love you all. So there was a mixed response on Twitter. Some people were defending him, saying that he didn't know, he wasn't aware. Some people were calling him out, saying he was high on drugs and everything. That's the whole reason. And honestly, I think that was the reason. He was high on drugs and wasn't aware. And if you ask me, if you do drugs during a concert, that's never a good idea. I mean, seriously, Travis Scott, not only have you caused a scene, but now you've caused people their lives, because what you could have done was you could have just stayed off the drugs. You could have warned people, hey, there are paramedics, there's an ambulance, make room for people. But instead, what you did was you decided to do drugs and continue the concert. But seriously, like, I know the show must go on and all, but if there's people's lives at stake, like, that's when it's gotta stop. Because not only have you put yourself in a bad spot, Travis Scott, but you've also just caused a lot of people and families' lives because of this. And that's just not acceptable. So, with that being said, thank you all for listening. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm actually very curious to see what you guys think. And until next time, you guys, I'm not causing a crowd surge like a bunch of crazy lunatics, and I'll see you all later.